Welcome, everyone, to episode 18 of the Chris Perish podcast. My name is Chris Perish. We are gladly here, affiliated with Turnbuckle Studios, where you can feature the Raw Patrols. They survey the wrestling scene of WWE every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then they also roll up on Tuesday at 8:05 p.m. Eastern with Turnbuckle Talk with your hosts, Carl Carafell and Chris Best. Also want to give a shout out to Rogue Energy, where if you're like me and you need a plethora of energy, make sure you go to rogueenergy.com. You hit that promo code PERISH, P-E-R-I-S-H. Save yourself 10% off. We got Chris Best coming in saying, "Good afternoon, Mr. Perish." Good afternoon, Mr. Best. Hopefully everybody had a great opening week of WrestleMania. Night one in the books. As you saw with Chris Best with the PLE Patrol over at the Turnbuckle Studios platform. What a great night it was. I mean, we had brother versus brother, Jimmy versus Jey Uso. And I hear a lot of people say, well, it wasn't as good as it thought. Hey, it was the first match. And guess what? They had you. You wanted to watch it. And I think we'll go back later and see, you know what? It's a start of something special. And I think that's something to look forward to. I think they did quite well. Chris Best, I liked it as well. I think everybody knew Jey Uso was coming out on top, but there's a part of me that kind of wanted to see Jimmy kind of sneak out that win. Because if they're going to have that kind of long-lasting rivalry, that brother rivalry, it'd be nice to see a reason to why it continues. And I think Jey Uso getting maybe the rug pulled out of it would have been a perfect way. But nonetheless, Yeet is successful at WrestleMania 40. And then we had a match which I thought for what it was absolutely fantastic. And that was Damage Control going up against Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. And I thought this was actually a good match. I thought it was a quick pace. I think anybody who says, well, Jade Cargill's green, well, guess what? A lot of people are quote-unquote green when you spend that much time in a ring. But I thought she looked dominant. I thought she looked good. I thought she looked like a badass. In fact, that entire team looked like a badass. And I thought that was a good use of 6 women on a show. I thought Damage Control looked good. I thought Kabuki Warriors were fantastic. And I love the fact that Dakota Kai had an opportunity to actually get a match in at WrestleMania. I think everyone in that match deserved a spot at WrestleMania, and I'm happy to see they got what they deserve. I'm happy they got a chance to perform in front of thousands and thousands of people at Lo-Fi Stadium. Chris Best is saying that 6-woman match left me wanting more from Jade. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And that's not, because wrestling is supposed to leave you wanting more. Despite the fact that there's feel-good stories, despite the fact it's WrestleMania, and despite the fact we're supposed to get everything we want because this is the showcase of the Immortals, you still need to tune into Monday Night Raw. You still need to tune into Friday Night SmackDown, and you still go. So why do you go? Because there's that something more to look forward to. And it was Jade's first kind of match in the way where she's on her own, like 2 feet. Like, yeah, she was in the Rumble, but it's a lot easier. It's just a different circumstance. Still yet to have a one-on-one match, but that will come. I thought she looked great. I thought Bianca was, I would say she was my MVP in that match, even though Jade looked like the star in that match. But I thought Naomi was fantastic as well. I thought Asuka was great as well. Everyone did such a good job. The opening match I thought was, I thought it was hard to beat for match of the night. Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. That is the definition of how you start the biggest show in a company. They are now the benchmark of openers, I think, for this calendar year. You were invested in everything they did. It was fast-paced. It was hard-hitting. It was everything you wanted in an opening match, and then some. Motionless in white. What a performance to introduce Rhea Ripley. That singer looked exactly like Rhea Ripley, and it was cool. They were just screaming at each other. Rhea Ripley was just banging out to her own theme song on the way down, and I thought that was awesome. I mean, the whole presentation, Becky's gear was just beautiful. Like, what can you say? Like, that match had your ups and downs. It had your near falls. You had your kickouts after a manhandle slam. You had your kickouts after a riptide. You had to do something bigger. A riptide on the top turnbuckle was really the game changer. I thought that was absolutely different. I liked the fact that we saw Rhea Ripley do some things that she normally doesn't do. She had to dig deep, not only to win, but to beat somebody on the caliber and on the level of Becky Lynch. I thought it did a lot of good things. And I'm very curious to see where Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley go. A lot of people think, well, Becky Lynch, her contract's on up. She's already said she's going to stay. It's just a matter of time. And if she's staying, Seth Rollins is staying too. Let's talk about Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes in that main event against The Rock and Roman Reigns. Chris Best thinks we're going to get a rematch with Becky and Rhea at Backlash. So that's interesting. I'm going to propose this. What if Becky Lynch comes out on Raw to give Rhea her flowers and is broken up? by Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, and we see a fatal 4-way at Backlash. That's my prediction. I think we get a fatal 4-way at Backlash. I think Liv Morgan needs to be put into something right away. I think this is a great time because she can then get mad that Becky Lynch was just getting a rematch when she loses, because not everything's about Becky. Kind of fits the story. And then, Nia's just always there. She has claims she's beaten Becky, just like Becky's beaten her. So if Becky gets handed a shot again, Nia wants hers then too. I'm thinking maybe a 4-way at Backlash, and I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, the main event, The Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. And does anybody else think The Rock is a little much? I don't have a problem with The Rock getting in the pin. I don't have a problem with The Rock getting in the pin on Cody. If you see the imagery of Cody Rhodes in the ring after that loss and then you compare it to last year's, it's beautiful. And it's also beautiful knowing that they're following with Cody versus Roman tonight at night 2. It's just like any other form of competition or sport. When it's not just a one and done and you get a result that you didn't want, you have to learn to pick yourself up and get right back into it. You can't let that emotion sink and eat at you. And there's no time for that. You have to really get back up, and you have to readjust, and you have to get remotivated for the next one. And that's something that I love about when you have like bests of 5, best of 7s, best of 3s, and things like that in sports. It's a war. It's a grind. You can't just get mad about one game because there's a next one right there, and you got to be ready. And Cody Rhodes cannot sit on the emotion of disappointment because he lost the main event of night 1 this year and of last year. No. But if there's an element of doubt in him, I'd like to see a package or an interview or something along those lines, because I think this will just make Cody that much more sympathetic. And yeah, Chris, you're right. Seth Rollins looked very, very vulnerable at the end of that tag match. He was beat up. And yes, his knee is a very, very large flag that Drew McIntyre should be targeting. We all know Drew McIntyre watching in his hotel room. He had his little watch party. He even tweeted saying, you know what? Night 2 is going to be the easiest payday of my life. No, yeah, think that. But I truly believe Damian Priest is walking out night 2 as the world heavyweight champion. I think he cashes in mid-match, and just when Drew thinks he gets his moment, Damian takes it away. And people say, well, why there should be an interaction between Damian and Drew? Well, let's revisit War Games, when Drew helped the Judgment Day, but the Judgment Day didn't feel like Drew was a team player. everything counts, right? Like all these storylines, everything feeds into something. There should not be love between Damian Priest and the Judgment Day of Drew McIntyre. There should still be a little sign of we don't trust you. But that match is going to be very intriguing. And I believe it's the opening match tonight, too. So we're going to get a bang right away. Also, Seth finally getting that, quote unquote main event at WrestleMania, even though, and I'm curious to see what everyone thinks. When you have 2 nights of WrestleMania, I still think there's only one main event, and that's the last match of night 2. I don't think the last match of night 1 is a main event of WrestleMania. I think it's just the main event of the night. But to me, the main event of anything is the last thing we see. And the last thing we see of WrestleMania is the last match of night 2. Chris Best is saying, I honestly think that Damian cashes in on Drew and wins. We should see Drew turn babyface and go after Damian. And that's exactly why I think he does it mid-match and takes the moment away. Remember, this whole thing for Drew is that he finally wants his moment in front of live fans. And if by chance you can make this look sympathetic on Drew, and you can have Drew and Damian moving on with Drew as that sympathetic figurehead, I think that's a little intriguing. But let's stay with Damian Priest, as him and Finn Balor defended both sets of tag titles, the Raw and SmackDown, the unified tag team titles, as one set was hung on its own while the other set was hung on its own. You can clip that. I know how it sounds. But in context, we know it is what it is. They defended it against the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. DIY, or aka Regeneration X, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. The Awesome Truth, The Miz and R-Truth. We even seen Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And then we had the New Catch Republic and Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And if you really ask me who I thought the MVP was in this match, because there's always somebody in a ladder match that just stands out. I thought somebody that stood out in this match was Johnny Gargano. That DDT on a Pete Dunne through a table from the inside of the ring to the outside was gnarly. And they announced before the match that you can retrieve any set of tag team titles you want. And they gave you the choice. You can grab both. You can grab one. Everything was up for grabs. Pun intended. But early in the match, we see Grayson Waller and Austin Theory retrieve the SmackDown tag team titles. Well, not like early on, but they were the first set to go. So as Chris Bessie pointed out, A-Town Down Under is what they go by. They became your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, as, not a lot of people expected them to do so. But Austin Theory, whether you like him or not, is a protege to the main event scene in WWE. It will happen eventually. And Grayson Waller has a platform with the Grayson Waller effect that does well. So I understand why you strike when the iron's hot with a Down Under. Plus, if by chance they have a quick reign, I don't think people get upset about it. And then as the car crash continues, chaos ensues. We see so many people jump off from the top of a ladder and they come crashing down, whether it's Tommaso Ciampa with the air raid, whether it's Pete Dunne doing moonsaults. We see R-Truth get his WrestleMania moment. As everybody is out, he is in the ring and he sets up a ladder and he climbs rung by rung. And the only thing that's up was the awesome truth, as they became your new Raw Tag Team Champions. Now, if you want to talk about a feel-good moment, R-Truth getting a WrestleMania moment, I think is a feel-good moment. This is definitely one of those situations where the company respects the work of one of its employees and says, this is because you just come to work and be you, because we need that. And I think there is nothing more respectful than a company doing that for an employee. And R-Truth deserves not only a WrestleMania moment, but an iconic moment in pro wrestling. Chris Best, I completely agree. As much as that was a feel-good moment, I don't think they will hold the titles for long. I don't think so either. And that's, to me, the beauty part about this is there is a clear understanding that they wanted to take the titles off Judgment Day and split the tag titles up. They wanted Raw and SmackDown to each have tag titles. I wanted a new set of tag team championships, like a new design, one set where that champion goes to wherever brand they need to go. They thought different. They, as in WWE, who am I to argue? They're making $5 billion off Netflix, and I'm not. So, you can grab my cereal, and I'll say it's Cocoa Puffs. So, yeah. But it's just so happy. I remember seeing R-Truth as K-Quick. So getting to see that guy at WrestleMania 40 get his moment, it's really the first time he won. That's just more than a feel-good moment. That's something that you can respect. I'm kind of going to a match where respect was thrown out the window when we saw LWO, comprised of the team of Andrade and Rey Mysterio, go up against Dominic Mysterio and Santos Escobar. I did not expect this one to play out the way it did. I did not expect Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey, the Philadelphia Eagles, to get involved, but they did. I knew that Jason Kelsey was approached by the WWE about something in Philadelphia. I don't think I would have suggested this as something, so I was pleasantly surprised. At first, I wasn't sure who these guys were. They were wearing the Philadelphia Eagle green Rey Mysterio masks, and they're big boys. I thought maybe there was a new tag team. At first, I kind of thought it was AOP given the size, but you know, it's not just based off kind of the look, but you know, you think size, and you don't think a lot of tag teams. I mean, you think Viking Raiders, but you know that's not happening because Eric isn't available. Gallows and Anderson, well, no. Gallows is he has a lot more tattoos, you know, and I know AOP, they already have a match, so yeah, no, it's not them. So I was curious. I thought maybe it's just new tag team, but no, it was members of the Philadelphia Eagles, former members of the Philadelphia Eagles. So they helped the team of Andrade and Rey Mysterio win. As Rey Mysterio pins Santos Escobar. And maybe, just maybe, we got closure on the Legado versus LWO storyline. Maybe we didn't, but what we now know is that at least a chapter's closed. And I'm intrigued to see what's next. Do we see Santos versus Andrade? Do we get continuation of Rey versus Dominic? Who knows? Bless me. You see that? I'm sniffling. I'm sneezing. I'm a little sick. Weather change always gets me. And where I live, the weather never seems to stay the same. It is fun. I also got home 5 hours ago from my show last night. And yeah, I'm on 2.5 hours of sleep. It is a fun time. Chris Best, you're saying Ray's next feud is Carlito? That very well could be. We did see on SmackDown that Dragon Lee got injured. We didn't see the attack, but Carlito was right there. You can see that Carlito was visibly upset when Ray chose Andrade to be his partner, not him. So, yeah, this could make sense. He could be the reason why this is not a finished rivalry. What is a finished rivalry now? That Intercontinental Championship. I said Becky and Rhea. Man, that was a hard match to beat. I thought the standard was set right from the get-go. Till I saw Gunther versus Sami Zayn. I don't know what to say about this match other than Gunther needs to be in the main event, and Sami Zayn might just be one of the best baby faces to ever step foot in a wrestling ring. Motion was high. The physicality was high. And these guys put on an absolute clinic as they vied to be Intercontinental Champion. We saw Sami Zayn pull out things that he does not do very often. And with multiple Aluva kicks, he shocks the world. And he defeats the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. He dethrones the Ring General Gunther. If Chad Gable turns on Sammy because he did what Chad couldn't on Monday night, I called this to a T. But I am also exceptionally giddy because we were spoiled with Gunther as Intercontinental Champion. I even got TNA Heavyweight Champion Moose last night to agree with me that Gunther outgrew the Intercontinental title. I mentioned that to him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't think he did it." And then when he was about to say more things than he thought, he's like, "No, you know what? In the wrestling sense, yeah, you're right. There's nothing more he could do for that title. There's nothing more that title could do for him. He has made sure that that title is an important and prestigious championship, and that whoever beat him truly deserved it. And that person wasn't made because of the title. That person was made because of their journey to the title. And Sami Zayn, he's already a WrestleMania main eventer, per se. But now he's also a 4-time Intercontinental Champion. And you have that with Chad Gable, and the quality of pure professional wrestling stays. And the legacy of the Intercontinental title and the prestige continues. Because then that is how you can have Chad Gable as your Intercontinental Champion, but it's not the way you were hoping. So it's a way for WWE to give you exactly what you want, and for you to be like, but you'll like it because you know a heel Chad Gable is going to be ready, willing, and able to do whatever it takes. Thank you. Chris Best saying the IC title is known as the Workers' title. And that was shown in that match last night. I think they have a few quote-unquote Workers' title. I think the World Heavyweight title that Seth Rollins currently has is also kind of known as that. The blue-collar title. There's a Worker title. But yeah, you're right. It's always been known that, at least that's the perception of fans, is that they always looked at the Intercontinental title as a representation of who they thought the best wrestler on the card was. Not necessarily who the biggest star was, but the best wrestler. And I'm saying this right now, with Gunther losing the Intercontinental title, there's absolutely no shadow of doubt. I know that. I saw doubt, and guess what? There was no shadow to be had. Cody Rhodes is finishing the story tonight, and we are going to get a Cody Rhodes versus Gunther match down the line for that championship. Mark my words. I don't think I missed a match. Chris Best, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I went through all the matches. But I do want to point out some things I thought were either iconic, memorable, or takeaways, as you will. And the first one was, did anybody else find that the Prime turnbuckles were more distracting than the Prime logo on the mat? Because I barely noticed the logo on the mat, but I couldn't help but always see the Prime turnbuckles as the top and the bottom, the Prime logo on it, while the middle ones said WWE. I did not expect that. I don't mind it, but I thought it was intriguing. I mean, that Prime logo is going to be on the mat for all PLEs moving forward. Chris Best saying they were, but I eventually got used to the logos. Yeah, you do. Because let's face it, you don't really zero in on the turnbuckle design very often, but It was more of my way of saying I barely noticed the Prime logo. It did not distract me. And yes, even though that was something new for the WWE, it's not a traditional thing to have advertisement on the mat. You didn't really notice it. It didn't make a big deal. In fact, as a wrestling fan, it kind of tells you more to what the center of the ring is. So it helps with that. We saw Triple H open the show and say that this is a new era. You can go to Carl Carafell's Facebook post, find out what era it should be called. I'd say it's the Evolution era. That was my pick. We also saw the American national anthem instead of America the Beautiful sung at the beginning of WrestleMania. And apparently that is one thing that Triple H changed, as Vince McMahon always had America the Beautiful played, as he loved that song more than the national anthem. Chris Best is saying, yes, I got all the matches covered. Sweet. As I said, I'm not on a lot of sleep, so I am prone to make a mistake. So you guys catch me. Call me out. And this kind of sets up stuff for match 2 or for night 2. Also, this stage, I gotta say this. This stage is fantastic. Now, I'm going to say this. It's not my favorite stage. I thought WrestleMania 39 last year was a stage. But the stage this year is pretty iconic and pretty awesome. Also, I had friends attending WrestleMania Night 1, and they said that the weather definitely influenced kind of the aura of the fans. So hopefully they're a little bit more prepared for the elements. As you're in Philadelphia or Philadelphia. You're not in a sunny paradise in Pennsylvania. Just, I don't know. Gotta know your surroundings, people. Cody did trademark the Renaissance era, but the WWE did not. You are right about that. I think the Renaissance era could just be Cody. Could just be something to do with Cody. Whether it's maybe what we call his title run, whether we call that his group, whatever the case may be. Maybe he has something completely non-wrestling related. He's calling that the Renaissance era. But what we do know is Cody Rhodes, in fact, trademarked the Renaissance era. So as we get to predicting night 2, what are our real hopes for night 2? What do we want? Not just this person wins, that person doesn't. What do we want? Because I want moments. I want... Because Sami Zayn defeating Gunther, that was a moment. Seeing Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi together, standing on their own, as strong black women who, yes, are making a change in stance, that was a moment. That was a powerful moment. Rhea Ripley beating Becky Lynch and going the distance from WrestleMania to WrestleMania as champ. That was a moment. The Rock wrestling. That's a moment. And I want to see more moments because that's why WrestleManias are iconic. Ones that we remember for the times because of the moments. All right. Go down the list. WrestleMania 1. Think of that main event. Think of Muhammad Ali as a referee. That's your moment. WrestleMania 10. You got Bret Hart and Owen Hart starting the show. Owen Hart beats Bret Hart, yet Bret Hart becomes WWF champion at the end. That is your moment. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon stealing the show with their ladder match. That was a moment. Chris, stop stealing my fucking ideas because you know I said that. But it's okay. We know it's good, so we like it. Chris Best is saying, I want Sammy to hug and cheer on KO before his match, just like we saw last night. I guess, no, yeah, sorry. I apologize. What I want to see is I want them to recreate the Benoit Eddie thing as KO wins the Intercontinental or the US title. And they're just in a ring. In the city where Rocky Balboa is the ultimate underdog, KO and Sami Zayn not exemplify that. Nah. Plus, it's 20 years after. And that was another thing. At WrestleMania 20, that was the moment. Whether or not people want to say or say, well, it didn't happen because of one person. No. Seeing those two embrace each other after as champions, it's like nobody ever thought they'd see. That was a moment. Another WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania, Undertaker's streak ending. Those are moments. I think Cody Rhodes throning Roman Reigns, that's a moment. I think Solo Sikoa betraying Roman Reigns, that could be a moment. I think Logan Paul getting RKO'd on a Prime bottle is just funny. It might not be a moment, but I just think it's funny. The best, yeah, you're right. Moments, more moments. Do we think now, knowing that Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes is in Bloodline Rules, do we think there's a team out there that's going to help Cody? Because I don't think it's Seth. I think Seth is going to be taken out of the picture very early in night 2, whether it's from Drew, whether it's from the Bloodline, whoever the case may be. I don't think Seth Rollins has anything to do in the main event. How about we see 3 people that Cody Rhodes is very close with? Goes from his past. Somebody that he used to tag team with. Somebody who said that should have been called up before he did. But he knows his last name got him called out first, and that is Shawn Spears. I think Shawn Spears losing against Joe Gacy. That's Stand and Deliver. Congratulations, Joe Gacy. It's nice to see him get some momentum. Who's to say that Shawn Spears needs to be in NXT? Could he have something bigger? Also, I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is just me fantasizing and fantasy booking right now. Jay Uso open in. Yeah, that makes sense. That's too logical not to happen. Another one is a man that we just saw answer the open challenge for the for the TNT title. How about Matt Cardona? A real-life best friend, Cody Rhodes. Could we see him at WrestleMania 40? Could we see Maxwell Jacob Friedman? Anything is possible, people. I shared a locker room with Moose, the TNA World Champion, last night. And he told me he had no idea Jordan Grace was in the Royal Rumble. He did not know beforehand. Not a lot of people knew. So if they can keep something like that close to the chest, maybe there is a possibility. But you never know. The one thing I will say about the Bloodline and with Cody Rhodes and this whole story, you really don't know where it's going. Just like The Rock said, let's just enjoy the ride we're being taken on, because it is truly amazing. And yeah, Renaissance. I can see that, but I mean, I think just that imagery of Cody sitting on the canvas, sour that he lost, being showered in self-disappointment 2 years straight. I think we're going to be seeing a different imagery of last night compared to tonight, be night and day. And then with a lot of memes on social media. Like, me on Sunday, me on Monday, or, me before payday, me after payday. Stuff like that. But, no, I mean, I think Cody Rhodes finishes that story, becomes the new WWE Universal Undisputed Champion. And I think he does something that he says he was going to do. And I think he does change up that championship. Chris Best is asking, what if The Rock comes in and helps Cody? He could do it after being upset that Roman speared him accidentally. My thing, if he does that, if it's just a pure, I'm upset because you speared me kind of a deal, would we not have seen a little bit more distance between Rock and Roman after the match? What I think we could see is Rock, he could be doing something to help Cody. And he could have flat out said that when him and Cody shared that original moment where Cody walked away, that what they said was, this was our story to end the tribal chief. And you could set up the people's champion versus the tribal chief in a match down the road. You don't have a physical title belt, but the two titles, people's champion versus tribal chief, one comes to an end with an epic match between The Rock and Roman Reigns. That could be the match between The Rock and Roman that everybody wants. And yes, Roman Reigns wins that match. I don't know. We also have a 6-man Philadelphia street fight between Final Testament of Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, and the Pride in Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I think Bobby Lashley gets the win for his team. I wouldn't be shocked if Montez Ford does it either. But given what Bobby Lashley couldn't get in years past at WrestleMania, I think they're going to owe one to him. For Karrion Kross just being on a WrestleMania, I think is that, as we all know, last year, it was supposed to be him and Bray Wyatt. But yeah, no, I have the Pride going over in that match. I think it's going to be a better match than people think. I think they're just going to beat the crap out of each other. It is going to be amazing. I'm very intrigued to see what Karrion Kross's WrestleMania attire is. We also have AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Yeah, and I think this match is going to be physical. Might be one of the most physical matches of the night. I'm very intrigued of what AJ Styles' new theme song is going to be, as he teased that he's getting a new song for WrestleMania. And I think it's going to be phenomenal. Imagine if he comes out just his old TNA. Like, you are, I am. If we get a lot of throwbacks with theme songs tonight, I would be giddy. Like if Drew legitimately uses Broken Dreams, although I do think that should be the catalyst of Damian Priest's cash-in. Think about this. Damian Priest steals Drew McIntyre's moment. Just come with me. And then he comes out to Broken Dreams on Monday because that song would completely fit against Drew in that situation. Just let that sink in. Just let it sink in. But there, I mean, LA Knight's going to beat AJ Styles. To me, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. LA Knight needs a big time win here, and I think this is the match. And I think both men go their separate ways when the draft does come. But I think that's exactly what needs to happen. If you want my trajectory for the Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, LA Knight. Let's see if I'm right. Then we have the triple threat match between Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton for the United States Championship. For the sole point of just wanting what I said months ago about the hug, KO to walk out United States Champion. And then we could have the rematch between KO and Logan Paul in France. I mean, think about it. Kevin Owens is from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, a French-speaking town, French-speaking province. Having someone whose first language is French also happens to be Canadian, take a United States title into the country of France. Kind of funny to me, but also makes sense. The amount of PR he can do as champion going into Backlash, speaking the native tongue, just saying, could be a thing. I think a lot more people are going to be like, well, Holy shit, that makes a lot of sense. But I think a secret that I would love to see Logan Paul actually keep the title too. Have him just have this stupid long streak, which just shouldn't happen, but somehow does. Plus him, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller doing a championship celebration edition of the Grayson Waller effect on SmackDown. I can be down for. I could be down for that. I'm trying to think what I know. There's Bailey and Io left. I'm just trying to think if there's another match that I'm not getting. But let's dive into that Bailey versus Io Sky match. I think this match is going to be good. And I think it's going to be really good. From what I hear, Paramount is playing out Bailey, or she's using a Paramount song of some sort. Special entrance for Bailey. Yes, please. I think Logan Paul is getting a special entrance, but I think it's more of a visual thing than anything. But come on, this is a crowning achievement for Bailey. She needs this so badly. When we see feel-good stories and we see like R-Truth and Sami Zayn winning championships last night, how do you not do the same with Cody Rhodes and Bailey winning titles the night after? I mean, I just think it's too obvious. I just can't see a scenario where Io Sky wins. Can anybody see a scenario where Io Sky actually defeats Bailey in this match? Give you guys a couple seconds. Yeah. Chris Bessa said, there's a part of me that wants to see the Bailey Buddies part of Bailey's entrance. Okay. If Paramount is playing Bailey, what happens if they're dressed up as Bailey Buddies? Would that not be cool? I mean, I would like to see like a full circle of themes where it's like we start off with the Hugger theme, we go to the current Bailey theme, and then it transitions into the new Paramount theme. Okay, I'm gonna squash this going back and forth. Let me say this and see if you change your mind. Io Sky's title reign so far has been, in my eyes, underwhelming. It was an amazing time to see her cash in and become champion. We saw people who are willing to take out the other members of Damage Control. So that could be Bailey's backup. We know Naomi will fight for Bailey. Jade doesn't really have any reason to, but she has no reason not to. And then I think the crowning achievement is Bianca doing something to help out. Maybe we see Bianca turn heel after. Ooh. That would be a moment. Imagine if Bailey wins the championship, then Bianca just whips her in the back with her hair or something. I might say that for SmackDown, but still, it's WrestleMania. You kind of throw everything out the window and say it's on the table, right? But no, for me, Eos guys, title reign has just kind of flown by. Nothing like amazing that's really come out of it. There's no like matches where I could just say, yep, this defined it. But what I can say defined it is that storyline with Bayley and how they got her out of Damage Control. And then how now Bayley is targeted Io. I think that's the defining moment of Io's guys' title reign. And for that reason, I think it's time to take that title off Io. And I don't think it's a bad thing to do. Also, there's a part of me that wants to see Dakota Kai enter the now women's North American title tournament or whatever they do. Part of me thinks that would be hilarious and awesome at the same time. Because, yeah, if you didn't know, early yesterday, Stand and Deliver took place. We saw Shawn Spears lose to Joe Gacy. We also saw Ava Raine announce a new title, and that is the NXT Women's North American Championship. So for a division and a brand that has a lot of women on the roster, they are now giving those women something to fight for, and that is a new championship. The first quote-unquote mid-card women's title in WWE. What do we think about that? What we also saw is Roxana Perez defeat Lara Valkyria to become the new NXT Women's Champion. And tell me if Lyra is not main roster ready. Because I will have time to argue that. I thought her reign, it was weird. I thought she went from somebody when they won the title to wonder why her to I don't want the title off her. I really enjoyed what she did. I really enjoyed her title reign. I thought it was very well done, and I thought it was done in a time where even that division was going through a change. So, Chris Best saying Dakota became the de facto leader of Damage Control. I can see her stepping up and taking a shot at Bayley. That could be. That could be. I would not be surprised if Bayley takes this time to have a vendetta to get a win on everyone in Damage Control. But what happens if Bianca turns heel and becomes the new leader of Damage Control? Ooh. I don't know. It'd be interesting to me. What else we saw? We saw Ilya Dragunov defeat the Dawn of NXT, Tony D'Angelo, and retain as NXT champion. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Saw Thea Hale kind of reunite with Chase U. She won in that multi-women tag match. I don't know. That match just seemed like it was a put-together one. I don't know. I didn't really... Not that I hated it, but it just seemed a little out of place. Obafemi retained his North American title in that triple threat with Briggs and Dijak. Man, that trio to Death Valley driver spot was disgusting. We also saw Trick Williams whoop that Hayes as he defeated Carmelo Hayes in the main event, after signalizing the end of Carmelo Hayes' tenure in NXT. And I think we could see Carmelo Hayes as a permanent member of SmackDown moving forward, unless he gets drafted to Raw. But another person that we thought was going to drop a title, Gerard Breaker, one half of the Wolf Dogs with Baron Corbin. They retained against Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Chris Best saying that Tony D'Angelo versus Ilya Dragunov match was a lot better than I thought. I don't think people should be sleeping on Tony D'Angelo. I think this guy is just becoming his potential in NXT. I mean, just remember when NXT 2.0 started, I think Tony D'Angelo was just a few months in the business. So he's really have grown as NXT has gone by. So to see that he has gone from where he started to now in just a couple of years, it's pretty impressive. But yeah, it doesn't look like Braun Breaker is leaving NXT yet. I think by the time the draft hits, I think him and Baron Corbin will be no longer NXT Tag Team Champions. That's my prediction. But I don't know. I didn't really want Axiom and Nathan Frazier to be the Tag Team Champions anyway, so I'm not upset by that. Plus, I kind of like seeing kind of Baron and Braun just kind of develop to be a tag team. I'm enjoying them together. It's one of those things where I didn't expect I would enjoy it as much as I have. So that was my little review of WrestleMania Night 1, my preview of Night 2, my quick review of Stand and Deliver. There's a lot of wrestling this weekend, and that's only the top of the iceberg, as you want to make sure that you tune in to Turnbuckle Studios on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Well, there's Turnbuckle Studios on the Twitch, Turnbuckle _Studios on the YouTube for the Raw Patrol. As they spray the scenes as we see the fallout of WrestleMania 40. But if you want to catch a little bit more good streaming, make sure you're checking out the PLE Patrol Night 2 with Chris Best and friends later today, which I believe is on the Turnbuckle Studio and Chris Best's platform. If you guys want to follow the show and help support the show, make sure that you're dropping a like, you're dropping a follow, you're dropping a subscription, you're dropping a thumbs up, you're hitting that notification bell. You're doing everything you can to say, good job. I want to follow this. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I am alert to when you go live. That helps the show. If you like the show, tell your friends. If you hate the show, tell your enemies. But please help spread the word, the Chris Perish podcast. Going up. I'm definitely going to try to bring more people along. We're going to do a couple more recordings with people. There's been some talks bringing more people on as kind of guests, not permanent guests, but guests. So we do have some things boiling in the pot. So stay tuned. Also, make sure that if you miss any part of Chris Perish podcast, you can always go back to all my social media platforms, the YouTubes and the Twitch, primarily to catch it again. But if you just want the audio form, make sure you're checking out Spotify. Because the Chris Perish podcast is uploaded on a Spotify directly after every episode. So, then a half hour after this episode is finished, you will be able to listen to the Chris Perish podcast on Spotify. If there's anything you want to say or anything you want to critique me on or anything you want to just get off your chest about the Chris Perish podcast, you can email me at Perishute, PERISHUTE @gmail.com. If you want to help me out and outside of helping out the podcast, make sure you go to rogueenergy.com, where right now they're giving away a free shaker for every tub sold. Yes, that is a different promo code. I will say that, but that is a reason to go there. If you say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need a free shaker. I just want to help you. Then you go to your cart. If they say promo code, you put in Perish, PERISH. You can save yourself 10%. That comes back to a little kickback for me, and I would appreciate that. If you don't and you want the free shaker, I get that. Who doesn't want a free shaker? But the point is, go to rogueenergy.com, and they have amazing flavors. They're just a couple weeks out of their biggest restock ever, and all they want to do is fill your need. Get you that little energy boost that you need to get through WrestleMania weekend. Now I'm going to look at somebody to raid. So if you have any ideas, please help me out. Chris Best is saying Chelsea Green just tried to pull off an Owen Hart at the Slammies. Terrific. That Owen Hart, right? Yeah. That is absolutely beautiful. Gonna raid somebody I haven't raided in a long time. Is that? Oh no, he's just doing a test. Never mind. He will not be. I'm gonna go with Dan Makes Games. Gonna raid Dan Makes Games. So if you're heading over to Dan Makes Games, you let him know that Chris Perish sent you. You say what's up. But for everything in between, I just want to say enjoy WrestleMania. I hope wherever you watch it, you take it in. You let everything breathe. And then you enjoy the moments they have, because this is going to be, I believe, a really big night in the new age of WWE. Triple H says it's time to play the game, but tonight I see who exactly is chosen to be the leaders of the new era of WWE, and I'm very excited. I will see you guys tomorrow on the Raw Patrol. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy your day. And make sure, just know that no matter what happens, whether you feel down, whether you feel defeated, the fight's never over. Because there's always another bump in the road. And you're the one who drives the car. You're the one who overcomes the obstacles. And you can do it. So make sure you do everything you can to finish your story. Have a good day, everyone. Enjoy WrestleMania Night 2. And go Saints.